What's up, guys? It's Chris here to talk about my UFC on versus 2 predictions. First off, shout out to my subscriber. I believe it's pronounced Bunts101. He asked me last week when I was going to put these predictions up, and I said I'd get on it, but unfortunately, I ended up posting a boxing bid last week, and then I did another one yesterday. So apologies for the delay, but better late than never, hopefully. On the undercard, not really too much I'm interested in, except for James Irvin's return to the light heavyweight division against Igor. I want to pronounce his name, Pakrahak. I don't know. The guy is only 0-2 in the UFC, but I'm a James Irvin fan, and I want him to get a win, so he stays in the organization. So that is my sole interest in the fight, and it looks like, based on the matchup, he's set up to do so, so hopefully he'll be able to rebound from his disastrous showing against Alessio Sakara at middleweight. Also on the undercard, Demarcus Johnson, Matt Riddle. Interesting matchup. Both alumnus of The Ultimate Fighter. Riddle, primarily just a wrestler. Kind of a pretty one-dimensional fighter, in all honesty. Demarcus Johnson, good striker. Although he has shown some diversity, he has won by submission. I believe he submitted Edgar Garcia in one of the better fights of last year. I'm going to go with DeMarcus here. Matt is just... I honestly think that if Matt didn't have a good personality, character, and didn't train with Arizona Combat Sports, I'm not sure he would even be in the UFC just yet. Not saying he can't make it there one day, but I don't know if he's... even though he's got wins in the UFC, I just don't know if he can really compete against... the top, not even the top opposition. He's just kind of lower level, I would say. No disrespect, I just don't think he has I don't think he's really paid enough dues to really be in the UFC at this point. But that's just my opinion. But either way, I'm going with DeMarcus Johnson to win this fight by TKO. On to the televised portion of the card. The first fight we have is Takanori Gomi taking on Tyson Griffin, who is replacing Joe Stevenson. Griffin coming off that loss to Evan Dunham. Good fight, pretty close fight, but for the most part, I think Evan Dunham controlled it. I don't even think it was worthy of a split decision. I think Evan Dunham clearly won, but I'm no judge or no official. Takanori Gomi made his UFC debut in his last fight against Kenny Florian. He lost. He was losing the stand-up battle and ended up getting choked out. Just doesn't appear to be... And he hasn't for the last couple of years appeared to be the Gomi who had the strong run and pride and was considered to be, one of the top 2 to 3 lightweights in the world at that time. In this fight, although Griffin is taking it off a late notice, I'm going to favor him because I think he has more ways to win. On the feet, I'll give Gomi an advantage. I think he has much more power with his strikes. And I think he's got more diverse striking. But I've mentioned on previous videos, Tyson Griffin has been improving his leg kicks. You can see him go to that. And on the mat, as far as with grappling, for the most part, I'd pretty much say they're even. Maybe Tyson Griffin's a little bit better of a wrestler. Probably more likely to go for a takedown than is Gomi. But I don't know. I think this is going to be a pretty good fight. I think it's probably go the distance unless Gomi gasses late because Tyson Griffin rarely gets tired. Rarely ever gets, fatigued in a fight. So, I think it'll go to decision, but I'm going to favor Tyson Griffin, but I'm going to be rooting for Takanori Gomi just because, like with most of these Pride guys, I'd like to see at least one last vintage performance from them. Moving on, we got Jake Ellenberger against John Howard. John Howard, he was actually on the first UFC on Versus card. I don't remember the name of the guy he beat, but knocked him out pretty brutally. Dave Roberts. I want to say Dave Roberts. Don't hold me to that, though. Jake Ellenberger, 2 fights in the UFC. Lost split decision to Carlos Condit in his debut. Won his last fight against Mike Pyle. Similar fighters, primarily wrestlers. Decent stand-up. I think Jake Ellenberger is much more explosive. I think he has more potential. It's funny because John Howard's like 4-0 in the UFC, but probably the most nondescript 4-0 in the UFC, if you really think about it. Close wins, split decision wins. You know, not the most stellar resume, even though he's undefeated in the UFC. No disrespect to the guy, but kind of like with Matt Riddle. You know, he's got a lot of wins in the UFC, but nothing that would really too impressive just yet. I'm going to favor Jake Ellenberger. I think he's a little bit better in the wrestling, and even if not, I think his physicality will help him, you know, be able to avoid takedowns if Howard goes for them. And on the stand-up, I'm going to give the favorite Ellenberger. I just think he is, like I said, I think he's stronger. I think he's more explosive, and he showed in that fight with Carlos Condit, you know, that he can go through a serious war. And I actually think he took that fight on late notice. So Jake Ellenberger, I think he's got a lot of potential. You know, he's a younger guy, but I really think he's going to be one of the top guys in the division, maybe a couple years from now, or challenge for a title. I'm going to go Jake Ellenberger to win this fight by. I'm going to give John Howard his credit, though, so I'm going to go Jake Ellenberger by decision. Co-main event, we got Yushin Okami against Mark Munoz. Munoz coming off that great comeback win against Kendall Grove. He was getting tooled in the first round of that fight. There were more than one occasion where it looked like it was over for him. But he was able to survive adversity, come back in the second, take Kendall down, and pound him out with ground and pound. As for Yushin Okami, he's rebounded now since the loss to Chael Sonnen. You know, he was doing really good in the UFC. He only had the loss to Rich Franklin, but then Chael Sonnen completely dominated him. When I was first thinking about this fight, I was favoring Mark Munoz because I thought maybe he could do what Chael did, just take Yushin Okami down. And, you know, because Mark Munoz is a really good wrestler. Not as good as Chael, but still a very good wrestler. But I was listening to Jordan Breen, I think it was last week, and he really favors Okami in this bout. You know, and I think Jordan Breen knows a little bit. I think he's just, you know, a little more well-schooled on the sport, even though I've probably been watching it longer than him. He's definitely a student of the game, more so than me because he watches so much MMA. So I'm going to go with him on this. I'm going to go with Yushin Okami. He said that, you know, that Mark Munoz, when he's facing top opposition, he can't really hang. You know, he can't really deal with it. And then I was thinking, you know, Kendall did almost have him out in the first round on numerous occasions. Obviously, Okami's game is different than Kendall's, but he's pretty solid. He's a pretty good big guy for the weight. Got some good striking. He's a pretty good wrestler himself. So I'm going to favor Okami. I don't really know how. I guess I would say decision. But if it goes to decision, I can see it going either way. You know, I can see Munoz getting takedowns and, you know, doing some good ground control and ground and pound from the top. But once again, I'm going to go against my intuition, and I'm going to go with what Jordan Breen said, and I'm going to go with Yushin Okami to win this fight because I think he made better sense than what I'm making at the moment. Trying to remember what he said as to why Yushin should win this fight. So I'll go with Yushin by unanimous decision. Main event, we got Jon Jones taking on Vladimir the Janitor Matyushenko. Jon Jones also fought on the first UFC Versus card. Destroyed Brandon Vera, who I picked to win that fight. Probably not the best pick in hindsight, but I thought Brandon Vera was better in the stand-up, but didn't matter because Jones took him down and cracked him with that elbow to the orbital bone, I believe it was. Vladimir, on his second run or tenure of duty in the UFC, been doing pretty good, you know. I think he's 3-0 since returning, coming off a win over Elliot Marshall, but you know, Jon Jones is the prospect here. Jon Jones is the featured fighter here. If this fight came down to strictly wrestling, I'd favor Matyushenko. You know, if it was just a straight wrestling match, Matyushenko would probably win, even though Jones is much more bigger and athletic and a lot quicker. But it's not. It's a fight. And Jon Jones, I mean, the guy has a 10-inch reach advantage. You think that's not going to be come and help on the stand-up department? Much quicker, much more diverse striking game, you know. Got some crazy takedowns, but we've seen him try for some crazy kicks, spinning back elbows, crazy punches, you know. Jones is training down there at Greg Jackson's camp, so he's training with a lot of the top guys in the division, getting ready for this fight. You know, Jon Jones, it's really hard to pick anything against him. You know, it's hard to have seen anything, you know, where he's faltered yet in his career. That's why on UFC. So I think Matyushenko's going to be much too slow to keep up with Jones. It may look similar to Matyushenko against Andrei Arlovsky, even though Jones isn't that level of a striker just yet. But wouldn't be surprised if it looked like that kind of a blowout. But I'm going to favor Jon Jones to win this fight, and I think he's going to win it by TKO. Vladimir is a very tough fighter, very durable, but I think Jones could really put it on him and take it to him late. So I'm going to go Jon Jones to win this fight by TKO and roll on in his career inside the UFC. I will probably be back, maybe, I don't know. There's not too many fights to talk about on these usually afterwards, so I might be back afterwards to talk about these fights afterwards. But if not, you can check me out on Twitter, as always, if you're interested. The link will be in the information part, as always, and let me know what you guys think of these fights, and till next time, I'm out.